The snow tapped gently against the cafe windows like tiny fingers asking to be let in, turning the glass into a watercolor blur of lights and motion. Inside, warmth pooled around every table, golden lamps, soft music, couples leaning close over steaming mugs, but at the tiny corner table near the frosted window, Alina sat alone, trying to convince herself she wasn't waiting for something that had already gone wrong. She had arrived 10 minutes early, cheeks flushed from the cold, breath misting in the air as she pulled the door open with a hopeful flutter in her chest. A Christmas blind date wasn't her usual thing, but her best friend had insisted. "It's time," she'd said. "You deserve someone who sees you." That line had echoed in Alina's mind while she brushed soft waves into her hair, applied a little more mascara than usual, and chose the burgundy sweater dress that hugged her gently without trying too hard. She wanted to look like someone worth showing up for. But as the minutes stretched, hope slowly thinned. She checked the entrance every time the bell chimed. A tall guy in a gray scarf. No. A man holding a small wrapped gift. No. A woman shaking snow from her coat, laughing loudly. No again. The candle at her table flickered cheerfully, unaware of how small she felt under its glow. When her phone buzzed at last, she smiled, too quickly, too eager, and tapped the screen. "Sorry, I saw you come in. You're not my type. Good luck though." The words sank like lead in her stomach. Not even a hello. Not even a chance. He'd judged her from a distance and walked away. Just like that. For a moment, she could hear only the rush of her own pulse in her ears. She closed her eyes and took a slow breath, pressing her fingertips into her palm to keep herself grounded. She wasn't going to cry. Not here, not on Christmas Eve, not because some stranger couldn't see past whatever flaw he imagined. "Ma'am, would you like to order anything?" A gentle voice asked. The waiter stood there with sympathetic eyes, his hands tucked politely behind his apron. She managed a small smile. "I'm fine," she said softly. "Maybe just a little more time." He nodded and walked away, leaving her alone with the glow of the candle and the silence she suddenly found heavy. She felt stupid, ridiculous, even, sitting there with so much hope erased by one careless message. Her chest tightened with a familiar ache, the same ache she'd felt months ago when Mark, her ex of 5 years, announced he needed someone different, someone less serious, someone who didn't make life so complicated. She had spent months rebuilding herself from that blow, and tonight she had truly believed she was ready to try again. But rejection still found her. Quietly, efficiently, without mercy. She stared down at her hands, blinking hard, when the cafe door swung open again, letting in a gust of cold air and a swirl of snowflakes that sparkled under the lights. She didn't look, she couldn't keep doing that to herself. But she heard small footsteps, quick and light, like a pair of tiny birds hopping across a tabletop. Then whispering, "Is that her?" a small voice asked. "I think so," whispered another, almost identical. Curiosity made her glance up. 2 little girls, twins, unmistakably, stood a few feet away, each bundled in a fluffy white coat that made them look like walking snowdrops. Their red hats with matching pom-poms sat slightly crooked, as if they had put them on by themselves. Their cheeks were rosy, eyes huge and bright, filled with that fearless confidence only children possessed. They stared at her, not past her, not around her, at her. Before she could say a word, the bolder twin approached with small, determined steps. "Hi," the girl said, chin lifted. "Hello," the other echoed shyly. Alina blinked, caught between confusion and the unexpected sweetness of the moment. "Hello, girls," she replied, her voice softer than she intended. "Are you looking for your parents?" The bold one shook her head. The shy one nodded. Then they both frowned at each other. "Well," the bold twin said, "we're looking for someone." "Sort of," the shy one added, stepping closer and climbing, without permission, onto the empty chair across from Alina. Her little boots swung above the floor, tapping the chair leg. Alina's lips curved despite the ache still lodged in her chest. "And who might that be?" The sisters exchanged a glance filled with silent communication, eyebrows raised, lips pressed, tiny nods, before the bold one reached out and touched Alina's hand with her small, warm fingers. "You look sad," she said plainly. The words pierced deeper than the blind date's text. Alina swallowed. "I'm fine, really." The shy twin shook her head with a seriousness that made Alina want to laugh and cry all at once. "People who say they're fine are the saddest," she declared with absolute certainty. It was such a grown-up observation coming from such a tiny girl that Alina exhaled sharply, a soft laugh escaping her despite everything. The ache in her chest loosened just a little. The bold twin leaned in, studying her face as if reading her thoughts like a book only children could decode. We want to ask you something important, she announced. Alina raised her brows. Important. Oh my. Both girls nodded solemnly, bobbing their matching pom-poms. Then the bold twin took a breath, puffing her cheeks. Will you be our mom? The cafe seemed to freeze around her. The hum of conversations blurred. Even the music faded. Alina stared at them, certain she misheard. What did you say? The shy twin clasped her mittened hands together and leaned forward, eyes wide with hope. You just look like someone who gives warm hugs, she explained earnestly. And Daddy is lonely. Alina's breath caught. Daddy. Before she could form a response, a frantic male voice rushed toward their table. Girls. There you are. A tall man hurried over, snowflakes still caught in his dark hair, worry etched across his handsome features. Relief washed over him when he reached them. He took each girl's hand gently but firmly. You can't run off like that. You scared me. The bold twin pointed at Alina. But we found her. She's perfect, the shy one added with a small, proud nod. The man followed their gesture, and when his eyes met Alina's, something shifted in his expression. Surprise. Embarrassment. And then something warmer, softer. He cleared his throat. I hope they didn't trouble you. They sometimes get ideas. Alina let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. They weren't trouble. Just unexpected. The twins tugged at their father's hands, urging him closer. Daddy, the bold one whispered loudly, ask her. Yes, Daddy, now, the shy one insisted. He flushed. Ask her, what? The twins beamed, speaking in perfect unison. Ask her to come to Christmas dinner with us. And for the first time that night, Alina didn't feel rejected. She felt chosen. Snow crunched under their boots as they stepped outside the cafe, the twins flanking Alina like two tiny bodyguards, each gripping one of her hands as if afraid she might slip away. Their father walked a step behind, still slightly breathless from the chaos his daughters had caused, but not correcting them, not pulling them back. He watched quietly, curiously, as if trying to understand why his girls had chosen her of all people. Alina certainly didn't understand it herself. She had agreed, reluctantly, nervously, to walk with them. Just to the car, she'd said. The twins had accepted this with the exaggerated politeness children use when they've already decided they're getting more. Their father, whose name she learned was Daniel, had nodded with a grateful, apologetic smile. The cold air bit her cheeks, but the twins' warm little hands countered it. Their excitement pushed warmth through her in ways her rejected blind date never could. Cars crept past on the snowy street, headlights catching drifting flakes that sparkled like powdered stars. Christmas lights twinkled along the shop roofs, casting soft colors over the night. The girls chattered the whole way. Daddy burned the cookies again today, the bold twin, Mia, announced proudly. I only burned half, Daniel protested behind them. That's still a burn. The shy twin, Lily, said with delight. Alina laughed softly, glancing back at him. Sounds like someone needs baking lessons. He rubbed his forehead with mock despair. Please don't give them ideas. They'll sign me up for a class. Oh, we already did. The twins chimed. Daniel groaned. Alina couldn't help but smile. She had walked out tonight expecting to go home alone to a silent apartment and a cup of microwaved cocoa. Instead, she was in the middle of a snowy street, laughing with strangers who didn't feel like strangers at all. As they reached the car, Lily tugged Alina's coat. Come with us, she whispered. Please. Mia nodded hard enough to shake her pom-pom hat. We always eat Christmas dinner with just Daddy. It's sad. It's not sad, Daniel said gently, unlocking the car. It's simple. There's a difference. Sad, Mia insisted. Simple, Daniel corrected again. Sad and simple, Lily concluded wisely. Alina pressed her hand over her mouth to hide the laugh threatening to escape. These girls were irresistible. They were also terrifying, because they were pulling her into something she wasn't sure she was ready to feel. She crouched so she was eye level with them. Girls, I can't just invite myself to your family dinner. You're not inviting yourself, Mia said confidently. We're inviting you. Yeah, Lily echoed. And Daddy wants you to come too. Daniel looked like he wished the snow would swallow him whole. Girls, Alina, I'm so sorry. They're enthusiastic. And curious. And lonely. She finished softly, surprising even herself. His eyes met hers. Something unspoken hung there, something honest enough to hurt. Yeah, he admitted quietly. A bit. The twins slid into the backseat, still buzzing with energy as they buckled in. Daniel hesitated before turning to her. You really don't have to join us, he said. I know it's sudden, and probably strange. And if you want to go home, I'll make sure the girls understand. She should go home. She should step back. She had been hurt enough this year. She didn't need more complicated feelings. She didn't need the ache of wanting something she couldn't have. But when she pictured her empty apartment, its quietness, its stillness, her untouched decorations, her heart pulled in the opposite direction. I don't have plans tonight, she admitted. And your girls are impossible to say no to. His relief was subtle but genuine. Only if you're comfortable. I am, she said, surprising herself again. The drive to their house took 15 minutes, filled with Christmas songs sung slightly off-key by the twins, who argued over lyrics and giggled so loudly that Daniel kept shaking his head and smiling despite himself. He was patient, gentle, the kind of father who knew exactly when to scold and when to let things slide. And Alina, tucked into the passenger seat, found herself glancing at him more times than she should. His profile was soft in the glow of passing lights, the strong line of his jaw, the way he bit the inside of his cheek when concentrating, the way his hands relaxed on the wheel when the girls' laughter filled the car. There were faint tired circles under his eyes, the kind that didn't come from lack of sleep but from carrying life alone. When they pulled into the driveway of a cozy snow-covered house, Alina felt a knot of nerves twist inside her. This wasn't her place. She didn't belong here. Not yet. Inside, warmth wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. The living room glowed with soft golds and reds from a modest Christmas tree decorated with mismatched ornaments. Stockings hung above the fireplace, 2 small ones with glitter names, and 1 larger one labeled, Daddy, in shaky child handwriting. Toys were scattered around but neatly pushed aside, the chaos of children living a joyful life. This is beautiful, Alina whispered. Daniel shrugged bashfully. It's a little messy. It's lived in, she corrected softly. It feels warm. Mia grabbed her hand. Come help us put the last star on the tree. We saved it, Lily added proudly. Alina followed them to the tree, where the shiny golden star sat waiting. The twins insisted she be the one to lift it. But this is your tradition, she said, touched. Mia shook her head. This year is different. Lily added, we want someone to help Daddy. Her heart squeezed painfully. She placed the star on the top branch, and the twins clapped like she had performed magic. Daniel watched from the doorway, something unreadable in his eyes. Dinner was simple, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and the half-burned cookies Mia had warned her about. But it was noisy, warm, full of stories and giggles, and Alina found herself laughing more in 1 hour than she had in months. Daniel relaxed too, his guarded edges softening as he listened to his daughters recount their grand mission of the evening. After dessert, when the girls finally fell asleep on the sofa, wrapped in 1 big blanket, Daniel walked over with 2 mugs of tea. They like you, he said quietly. They're easy to like. He hesitated, then met her eyes. I like you too. Her breath caught. I'm not asking for anything, he added quickly. I'm glad you came inside instead of going home alone. Me too, she whispered. The house fell quiet except for the crackle of the fireplace. The warmth in the room seeped into something deeper inside her, something that hadn't felt alive in a long time. Alina, he asked softly. Yes. Can we see you again? After tonight. She looked at him, then at the sleeping twins, then back at him. And for the first time in a very long time, she felt the answer, steady and certain. I'd like that, she said. Outside, snow continued to fall, quiet, gentle, full of possibility, like Christmas had been waiting for her to believe again.